Hi, my name's Heather Pepe, co-owner of Nibbles Desserts in Forney, Texas, right outside of Dallas, and owner of my Memaws Kitchen. And this is Keirsten, my 11-year-old granddaughter, and the inspiration behind my Memaws Kitchen. When I was young, I loved to help bake in the kitchen with my mom and dad. Both of them were avid bakers. And I hopefully will pass that love for baking on to my grandkids. Since Keirsten is the oldest, Keirsten is the one who spends the most time in the kitchen with me. And today we're going to teach you how to make some chocolate mousse cups. They look fantastic and are super easy to make. In fact, they're so easy to make that I'm going to have Keirsten do all the work while I tell her what to do. Now what you're going to want to start off with are some chocolate melts. Now you can temper the chocolate, but that's so much work, and this is so much easier to go buy them. You can get them by Wilton, is the biggest maker of them. There's also several other types. You can get them at Michael's Craft Store, you can get them at Hobby Lobby, or any type of cake supply place in your town. And I buy them in bulk, so I put them in nice little bags so that they're easier to use. So I'm going to put some in a little bowl, and Keirsten's going to heat it up for me. And when you're heating this up, you want to heat it for 30 seconds at a time, and make sure that you stir it. That allows air to get in between all the chocolate so that it melts evenly and doesn't burn. While she's doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do next week. Next week, we're going to make butter tarts. This is an old recipe that my mom had, and they look something like this. Also, super easy to make. Everything that I tell you how to do is going to take less than half an hour to prepare in your kitchen, and it's going to make you look like some kind of chef. All right, so the chocolate should be about done. If you want to go and stir that for me, please. Just give it a good stir. And then we're going to put it back in the microwave for about 30 seconds more. That ought to be enough to get it all melted good. Very good. Make sure you're stirring it. Now it's starting to melt, but it isn't melted all the way. And you really want the chocolate to be nice and smooth so that when it goes in the cups, it flows nice and evenly. Okay, back in the microwave with it. Don't include the spoon. A few more seconds on that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that melted chocolate and we're going to spoon it into these little cups. Now, I got this size cup. You can get a bigger cup if you want a bigger dessert. But my company is Nibbles Desserts, and everything that we do is bite-sized. So these are just perfect for that. Now go ahead and get the chocolate out of the microwave. We're going to stir it up one more time and stir it good. And you can see now the consistency of the chocolate, really nice and smooth. Now what we're going to do is take a spoonful at a time, and Keirsten's going to take a paintbrush. You can get paintbrushes anywhere. Just make sure you keep your paintbrushes separate from the ones that you use paint on. But you don't have to go buy expensive paintbrushes at a craft store. Any kind of paintbrush will do. For this, because these cups are relatively small, we're going to use a decent sized brush. So I'm going to scoop a little bit of chocolate into each cup, and Keirsten is going to take the brush and smooth all the way up around all the edges. See how she's doing that? You want to try to be as clean as you can, but you also want to make sure that you get all of the chocolate everywhere. One good way to test that is if you lift your tray up while you're working. Lift your tray up while you're working. You can look underneath. If you don't see any light coming in, then you've covered that mousse cup perfectly. So she's going to finish doing that, and I'm going to put some more chocolate in some more of these cups so that we can get these painted as fast as we can. Doesn't have to be perfect. When the chocolate dries, it's going to look really nice. And I'm only going to do about half of them just so that you get an idea of what we're doing. And Keirsten is quickly painting. Like I said, you can use a bigger cup. I like the little ones. I like a bite-sized dessert. I think it's wonderful when you can put 3 different little types of desserts on a tray for somebody to try. Gives them a little taste of 3 different types of things, and it also looks absolutely beautiful. All right, she's just about done painting all those. We're going to take one more check by lifting it up in the air to make sure that we don't see any light. Are we good? Oh, I see a little bit of light there. Take care of that one. And just move the chocolate around a little bit until you make sure that everything is covered. Let's take one more peek. Looks pretty good. We're just going to cover right up here. Make sure when you're doing it that you go all the way up on the edges so that you have a complete mousse cup. All right, and these are going to go in your freezer or refrigerator. It's a lot faster to use the freezer if you can, but if you don't have the space, using the refrigerator is fine. I'm going to slide those on. They only have to stay in there for about 5 minutes. And in the meantime, we're going to make the mousse. Now, I use a non-dairy type product called bitter cream. It's great, it's non-dairy, it's easy to keep, and it's easy to make. But you can also use a Cool Whip. If you use Cool Whip, you can mix it with a type of pudding, you can add fresh fruit, you can do whatever you want to do. Even Jell-O now makes a mousse cup. You can whip this up as well. But we're going to use this bitter cream. It's super easy. It comes frozen. You just put it in the refrigerator for 24 hours before you're going to use it, and you just pour it right into your mixer. To the mixer it goes. We're going to whip this up. It takes about 4 minutes to whip. And while we're doing that, I'm going to have Keirsten cut some raspberries. Always, 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 when you're cooking with your kids, make sure that you rinse your fruit and that you don't use a sharp knife. And we're just going to cut these in halves so that they look pretty. Nothing fancy. And this mousse you're going to whip on high. And you don't have to use fruit. I just think it makes it look a little prettier. Another thing that you can do is take a little bit of the chocolate and make a little design on a piece of parchment paper. And I'll get a piece of parchment. Now, for those of you who don't cook in the kitchen a lot, let me just tell you, parchment is a godsend. It doesn't stick to anything. It's easy to use. And it works so much better than wax paper. So if you wanted to, you could take a little bit of this chocolate that you have left. And you could make some kind of cute little design. Now, I would, of course, put it in a parchment bag, but I don't really have time for that. So I'm just going to show some little designs that you can make. By painting something. This looks not very good, but it just gives you an idea. Let me grab a parchment. Sorry about that. Okay. So one easy thing to do if you don't want to take the time to use a parchment bag is just get one of these little bottles. We're going to fill it up with some chocolate, and Keirsten's going to make some cute designs. It'll make it much easier, and it'll look a lot better than what we have going now. I'm just going to pour the chocolate into the bottle. And your kids can really have a good time doing whatever kind of design they want to do with this chocolate. And we're going to put this on top of the mousse cups when they're done. So go ahead, Keirsten. Make a fancy little design or a little heart. And all you have to do is let this sit for just a minute or two, and it'll harden enough for you to be able to put on your mousse cup. Now just a steady pressure. Wait, one sec. Let's get that chocolate going down. Oh, I think it's down. So make a nice, pretty design. Not too big. Remember, the mousse cups is this big. That's a pretty big size heart. Something else you can do that's really easy is just make a little crisscross like a tic-tac-toe. It looks really cute and it's super easy, but you can do anything, any kind of design that you want to do. Okay, so we're going to set this aside for just a minute and let it get hard. In the meantime, you can see that the mousse is getting nice and thick, which is exactly how we want it. So what I'm going to do while this is still going is I'm going to check our mousse cups and see if they're hard yet. Now the way you check is you want to look and make sure that it's nice and solid on the middle. This still feels a little bit soft, but the best way to check is to try popping one out. If it pops, and it did, then it's ready to go. So we're going to gently take these out. Set that aside. Turn them over. We did have one that broke, so that means we get to eat it. That's the best part. All right, so now we have our mousse cups. We're going to take our mousse out of here. I like to put the mousse in just a regular bag. You can also get these at the craft store. They're very inexpensive, super easy to use. You can use parchment paper too. Again, it's just a lot easier, and I'm all about lazy. So we're going to cut the end off, and for this I actually put a tip in here. You don't need to use a coupler or any of that other fancy stuff. Just throw a tip in the bottom of the bag. Fold the top end of your bag down so that you don't have a mess. And I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to let you fill it. There you go. Start scooping it out and scooping it into this bag. Go ahead. Now this is chocolate. You can also buy vanilla if you want to. If you want to buy the vanilla, you can add anything that you want to it. Sometimes I'll put a little sprinkle of caramel on the top, throw some chocolate chips on. Get creative. Do whatever you want to do. But for this, we're going to keep it simple. So we're just going to put the mousse in a little bit more. That's good. Always fold down the top of your bag too. Otherwise, you can have a real big mess. A little bit more. What's great about this is it won't separate like a regular cream product will. So you don't have to worry about keeping it out or keeping it refrigerated. All right, I'd say that's good enough. We're going to pull the top back up. We're going to squeeze it down a little bit. And then Keirsten is going to fill these mousse cups. You ready? Mm-hmm. Make a pretty little design. Beautiful. Keep going. See how simple this is? If an 11-year-old can do it, don't you think you can do it too? Lovely. Like I said, you could just spoon some in. This just makes it look a little fancier. Then we're going to take a raspberry. We're going to put it on the top. Lovely. And if you wanted to, you can take a piece of one of these designs that we did, and you can put that in the top as well. Now, doesn't that look like something that you spent a lot of time making? But you didn't. That's the best part. So for now, remember, next week I'm going to make the butter tarts. Well, Keirsten's going to make the butter tarts. I'm just going to tell her what to do. But we'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Remember, it's a sweet life. Bye.